Hello and welcome to Paper Plays Julie K. Welcome everyone to the February installment of Smash That Small Paper Pad collab with Deb Houck. There are a number of talented ladies participating in this collab, so make sure you guys open up that description box below to check out everybody else's channels. And basically what we are trying to do is smash as many of our small paper pads as we can this upcoming year. And I am continuing to work on the following paper pads. I have the Downton Abbey from Crafter's Companion, this Bo Bunny Butterfly Kisses, Time Machine from Kaiser Craft, and every month I am using a couple pieces of paper from the Children's Hour from Graphic 45. This one is based on months, so this month I will be sharing with you guys what I created for February. And basically for this Downton Abbey pad, I am creating junk journal elements because I do want to create a Downton Abbey junk journal. And otherwise everything else is just whatever I feel inspired to make. And this month I did use paper from all of my pads. So I will share with you guys what I created for this month, and I'll start with the Graphic 45 paper pad. So I did end up creating 3 cards this month with the Graphic 45. The first one is just a little 4x4 card with a cute little girl on it, and then the paper I kind of layered up with some cardstock, and then I added a couple little heart embellishments right there. And when you open up this one, I used a little sentiment that came from the paper pad. It just said, "If you will be my Valentine, all my secrets shall be thine." And so that's all I did with that card. This one, I again layered some of the paper and one of the images from the paper, added some little rhinestone hearts I had in my stash. And the inside of this one, I layered some paper scraps, and I did leave it blank. I'm thinking I actually might use this one as a Mother's Day card because it looks like a mother and a child more so than Valentine's Day to me, even though there are roses and a box of chocolates. It just looks a little bit more Mother's Day-ish to me, so I'm going to save this one for a Mother's Day card and put a sentiment on the inside for that. And the last one I created is this little flip out one, and this was one of those big Sizzix dies that created this card base. And so I layered a piece of the paper, and I kind of rearranged lots of the little cutout pieces on the cover. I'll just hold that up close so you can kind of see how I layered them. And I added some more of those little rhinestone hearts onto it. And then on the inside, I just stamped the sentiment, "Sending you all my love," and I put one little more strip right there. And I had a couple little bits and pieces left over. This big one right here is like a little calendar one, and so I'm just going to layer it up on some sort of cardstock, and I'll use it in a junk journal as a journaling card, and same with all these little postage stamps and little pieces right here. Again, I'll just put this in my junk journal pile to use when I'm creating junk journals and digging through my pile for stuff to add. So those are the little leftover pieces from the Graphic 45 paper collection. So the next set of items are all using the Downton Abbey paper collection. And again, they're all items I plan on using in a journal. This first one could also be, you could create into a card, but it is from a Sizzix die. And I cut it out with cardstock, and then I layered on the inside the Downton paper and added a ribbon as my closure. And so on the inside, I was thinking you could either add a photo or some tea-dyed paper for journaling. And you can also decorate it a little bit further by adding some sort of embellishments on the sides. And as far as putting it into my journal, I was thinking if you leave it standing this way, you could create a pocket behind it and add a tag, or else you could create a tuck spot, or you could also flip it this way and use it that way in your journal. I also took one of Tim Holtz's cabinet cards. I took off the back white piece of paper and I added the Downton Abbey paper, and I did leave the top open, so then you could add a photo in there or create a little pocket for a tag. Or I was also thinking I might add one of my scrap papers and make a little flip so that you can flip it open and then add another piece of tea-dyed paper or something behind here so that you could journal back there and have another spot to journal on your journal. I also took another one of the pieces of paper from the Downton Abbey collection and I cut it down a little bit to create a double size for a double pocket that would fit in a journal. Added some strips, notched it out, added some die cuts. This one is a Spellbinders die cut, some flat back pearls to embellish it a little bit, and then I added a couple of tags. And the little die cut on these ones with the wine glasses is a Crafter's Companion die that I picked up at Tuesday Morning quite a while ago. This one I just threw in. I was using some of the gold paper and I just had a little scrap, so I just made a little booklet. This was just, I just threw it in because I'm going to probably use this in the junk journal just so it stayed with that pile of stuff. I also created kind of another pocket, or you could use a paper clip to attach this into your journal. And this was just a piece left over. Last month I had created some pockets and this was part of that, so I just cut it down. And this one was one of the Downton Abbey die cuts, or no, the Victorian. I think the Victorian ones from Crafter's Companion. And the little background piece was just a piece of ephemera for my stash. I added some gold rickrack. I created a little tag to stick in there with tea-dyed paper on the back so that you could journal on it. And both these pieces, again, are Downton Abbey paper. And there is a slight design on the back of this one, but it's so light that you can't see it. That's the one thing I do like about that Downton Abbey paper, is that it is double-sided, so both sides are decorated. And then the next thing I created is another pocket. And I think I got this idea from Gail, or she's following another lady, and I'll leave that other lady's link below. And she's using up her 12 by 12 paper pads, but I modified her version and just glued on the paper instead of having your big 12 by 12 paper and cutting it and doing flip ups and stuff to create these pockets. I just cut them down to my size. So this one is a kind of a triple pocket, I guess, because then you could glue it down and you'd have a pocket right here. You have a pocket right here. And then you have this front pocket. And I added a couple of tags. This one's a cardstock tag. This one came from the Downton Abbey paper collection. I just stuck those in there. And then I made a little booklet with one of the little scraps from the Downton Abbey paper to stick in there. And I haven't made a tag or anything yet for here, but again, that would be a really cute idea. And then also, Gail and the other lady that I was talking about, and I want to say like Paper Inspirations or something like that is her name. But again, I'll leave that link below. And she was creating these again out of 12 by 12s, and she cut them down to 6 by 6, so it did work out for this. And this one works really well for double-sided paper, because you end up folding your paper in the middle, and then you leave one pocket on this side, and then the other one you flip over to the front side and glue down. And so the front side has a little pocket. And I added some embellishments from my stash. And then I added some different ephemera pieces that were floating around in my stash that kind of seemed like they would maybe work for the color scheme. So I added those, and then again you would open it up, and so this pocket would be glued down onto your page, and then you'd make another little spot to stick some sort of tag or ephemera piece once it's glued down right there. And then here again I just added another little journal card and added a little die cut, and I can't remember what company that one's from. So I did end up creating a whole bunch of these. I had fun making these, so I went ahead and made more junk journal elements like this from the other paper pads. So the first one was that Bo Bunny paper pad, so I made 3. And so here's the first one and what it looks like. And again, I just, incorporated items from my stash to decorate it. So the paper was like this, and I might have used a scratch paper up there, I'm not sure, because these ones were, the back sides were white, so this part would have been white, and I didn't like that, so I just used a scratch piece of paper for that green up there on that one. But the Bo Bunny paper is this little wood one with the little butterflies on it. And again, I just added some ephemera to the pockets. And then this one, I added the little notebook that you can write on with just scratch tea-dyed papers. And again, the little tag spot there. And here's a little bit of brighter kind of spring themed one. And in that Bow Bunny paper, they did have some punch outs. And so I added that little punch out. There's some punch outs on the tags, some words. And I decorated these tags a little bit using some of those punch outs. And then when this one flips open, I made another little paper pad and added one of the little die cut punch outs right there. And also decorated here, and they had these little tabs, and so I thought that would be kind of cute just to add a little journaling spot right there. And again, there's a little tag spot right there in that pocket. And here was the other one. I like how this one turned out. I did ink the edges so it looks more vintage, so that it could be used in a vintage journal. And so it looks like that when it's opened without anything in the pockets. I added butterfly die cut from the paper collection. And it says, "Every dream that lingers." I think that's a Tim Holtz sticker that I used right there. And just using pieces, scraps from once I made this pocket, and punch outs from the collection. I made a couple things to stick in the pocket. And then when you open it up, I made another notepad. And then you can also journal or add something right there if you want to. And then again, just did some decorating with the paper for that pocket. And then using that Kaiser Craft paper pad, I made some more of those pockets. So this one has a little bit more of a steampunk feel. I picked out the papers in there that had kind of that feel to it, and they had some cutouts in there, so I tried to incorporate some of those. And I did make 2 tags to put into it using pieces from the paper pad and cardstock. This one I did back the back of it so you could journal on it. Oh, and this one I did not glue it down. I just added the piece, and then you can open it up and have a kind of a secret journaling spot. So that was that tag. And this one, I think, yeah, I changed the flip on this one so that it opens up this way. And another notebook to journal on, and then a little spot to journal right there. And again, the pocket once you glue it down. This one still has a little bit of a steampunk feel. I added a couple little embellishments to it. And here's one of the tags that I made, and then I added a little stamp on it. And same with this one. And they were both light enough to journal on the back side, so I left them plain. And then this one I flipped this way. And this one I had some really grungy tea-dyed paper, or coffee-dyed paper, so I added that to this one for the pad. And that one I just left as is because I thought that was pretty paper, so I didn't want to do anything to mess with it. And I used one of the punch outs right there on that little journaling paper. The next one, they had just some brown paper in that paper pad, that Kaiser Craft paper pad, and it was kind of more vintage feel, so I made this one into a vintage looking one. And I just used some bits of paper to coordinate with it to decorate. That was just a scrap paper from my stash that I added up there, because again, these are white on the back side, so once you flip it over, this one would have been white, so I added that to it. And I did do a little sewing on that one. And just some scratch paper from my stash that I made those tags out of. And then the last one, this one almost could have felt like it came from the Downton Abbey paper pad, but it was from the Kaiser Craft, because the Downton Abbey has a paper in it too that's very similar to this one. And again, I just decorated it kind of in a vintage theme, and that came off of a postcard. And when you opened up that one, again, just some bits and pieces from my stash, some tea-dyed paper. And then I added just ephemera again from my stash. And then one last thing is I did do some more paper cutting with the scraps from that Downton Abbey paper pad. So I did make one paper clip and I still have to embellish it yet. I did cut out some little tiny envelopes. I have some more tags that can be added into it. Kind of a little ticket-sized one. Just some little stuff like that. So I am working on the scraps as I go. And I did have one other cute little embellishment that I cut out of some of the scraps. I had this little teapot. And so this one, I added the little tea tag to it. Decorated the front. And this cover opens up. And then you have a little small spot to journal on or something. And I thought that was kind of cute. So that's everything that I accomplished this month using those paper pads, and hopefully you guys will come back next month to see what I have created again. And of course, don't forget to check out everybody else listed below in the description box. Until next time, I hope you guys all have a wonderful day and happy crafting.